the small sponsor who develops this one building, they may not file plans, they may not file permits, maybe they do. Hopefully everything's filed for. Putting that aside, the issue is that once they're out of there, it's an LLC or a corporation, and if they don't get that final sign off to get the final CO, the co-op or condo who's left, the shareholders or the board members, they then have to take over where the sponsors team left off. For all we know, the laws have changed. There might need to be physical work to be done. There might be fines involved. And so when I'm dealing with a situation that it's either a developer that I've seen situations before on their new developments where my clients had problems post-closing, or in situations where it's just a really small building, and I tell my client my position. I'm not a deal killer. You just have to understand your risks. If you're willing to not care and you love the place so much, then you let it go. Otherwise, it's real simple. I've done deals where my client's buying the last sponsor unit. In fact, I have one that I went into contract recently. It's only a 10-unit building. I put into the contract that I want to be the last closing. And I also put into the contract that we will not close without a final certificate of occupancy. Now, originally, I told the sponsor that we would close with just a TCO as long as they escrowed, whatever the number was. It was very reasonable with respect to the number of units, the price of the properties, etc. Nonetheless, they didn't want to do that with us. We're probably the only buyer in there that won't close, that has a contract that says that we won't close until the final CO, but it is the last unit, so I think it was a good chance on everybody's part. So at least my client's protected, they're protected. We could always renegotiate later on. But one of the things that we run into, and I was speaking about before Nazila had gotten off there by mistake, or maybe she's just off, which is fine. She's great. I'll tell you, I'll give you her information.
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you're
I just put it on mute.
No, that's fine. No problem. I just wanted to make sure. So
no, I'm still here.
Okay, fantastic. So as I was saying, with the smaller buildings or even the larger buildings, anytime you have a new development, as I was saying, there's the new, and then there's the new that haven't totally sold out and they're still relatively new, maybe the last decade. And for whatever the reason, the sponsor never got the final certificate of occupancy. Now these TCOs expire every 90 days. So every 90 days they have to get updated, a new temporary certificate of occupancy. There are buildings that have been operating that way for 10 years. And so it's deals like that it's so helpful, Nazila, when we can turn and just say, hey, Nazila, can you tell me if the TCO is up to date? It's very, it is so grinding to have to try and find the most current TCO sometimes on these buildings.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's not even recorded, or you have to really dig. We at Lincoln Land, we hire examiners to do this work. So that means it's the latest information, and it's the information that the title companies go off of. It's not what you're going to look at on like Property Shark or stuff you do by yourself, like on Acris and stuff.
Correct.
No, we do our own due diligence,
and that's why it takes. It does take some time, and that's the other thing. Having somebody that you know in the industry, and as I said, I might not be your lawyer, and that's okay, but getting in Nazila's information, having that title person that you can reach out to before you list a property. What happens, Nazila, you ever have a situation where somebody contacts you and says, I'm representing this property, it may be in foreclosure, we're not really sure, and before I take the listing, I wanted to see. Is that something that you'd be able to help out with?
Yeah, I just did one in Long Island.
Oh, fantastic. Can you tell us about that?
So they had a foreclosure notice and they're trying to do a short sale on it. He contacted me and he's like, what do I do? And they do have all that and they have that and they're trying to also do a short sale. And he's like, who do I contact? How do I get, how do I get on that? But that's for the buyer side, but for the foreclosure notice, if you're selling, if there's a notice of default, the title company can pull it and see